Especially, I think about a phenomenon that has been called the supply chain disruption. Mm. The pandemic has provoked a disruption of the supply chain in many points of the world. But the war is multiplying the effect of disruption of the supply chain. Every day we learn about a new detail of this disruption. For instance, yesterday I read that uranium will be lacking in the world because it's mainly produced in Russia. And we know about the energetic supply chain, we know about the food supply chain. So let's try to imagine what is going to happen in 6 months, in 1 year. That is the landscape that we have to imagine. All our talk about apocalypse and so on that I have been cherishing so much in the past years, all that is just metaphors. We have been dealing with pretty metaphors. Now it's reality, not metaphor. So what's going to happen when the social effects of this disruption are going to deploy in Europe, in Italy? I think to the Italian situation in which the government of Mario Draghi is perfectly suited to impose a general policy of against workers, against social life, in the impoverishment that we have been experiencing in the past 10, 15 years is going to deepen enormously. This is the condition that we must imagine first of all. At a certain point, I read in the American press about the Great Resignation. The word resignation came to my mind, to my imagination, after reading that 4,500,000 workers of America have decided not to go back to work after the pandemic collapse. Wow, interesting. I have tried to imagine that the strategy of resignation becomes a political strategy of those who refuse war, who refuse the economic and social oppression and so on. Resignation, an interesting word, because first, resignation means the Christian acceptation of the will of God. This is resignation in an Italian vocabulary, and also a French and also an English vocabulary. But the English vocabulary is richer, is more rich, because resignation does not mean only accepting the will of God, which is interesting, but frankly speaking, I don't know what should I do with the will of God, being an atheist. So the second acception, the second meaning is more interesting. Going away, abandoning the game, refusing to accept the idea that we must absolutely do those things, working, consuming, and so on and so on. A third meaning of the word resignation comes to my mind, which is resignification. The resignification of everything in my life. What do I really need? What am I expecting from social life, and so on? So my job in the last 2-3 months has been talking with very young people in their 18, 19, young students, in order to understand, what do you expect from life? Do you really, really need to buy a car? Do you really, really need to live in a nuclear house, in a nuclear farm? Do you really, really need to have children? Do you really, really need? And so on. Resignifying daily life. This is not the utopia of a sort of communist Franciscan in the manifold meaning of the word intellectual. No, it's not my utopia. No, it's an urgent reimagination of life, because we are going to live in a situation that has nothing to do with the modern promise. Resignation means forget about the modern promises. Forget about it. Done. If you want to survive, you have to live in a way that nobody would have imagined in the last century. This is my point now.
So we have a big job to do.